On June 29th of 2022, I would upload a video titled, "Have you seen this lost YouTube video?" Or the search for a lost fan animation. I changed the title a lot, so I could never really get the SEO right on this video. The video, in short, was a recollection of my online journey the year prior to finding a piece of lost media, in relation to For Whom the Frog Bell Tolls, a semi-obscure game for the Nintendo Game Boy that only released in Japan back in the 90s. The piece of lost media in question was a fan animatic of the final events of the game, retold in beautiful hand-drawn illustrations by YouTuber and artist Sarah C., or Spy Who Loved You. And I got very close to finding it. I was able to find the account of the original artist, some of the illustrations from the video proving that they made it, and even the archive link to their deleted YouTube channel and the lost video in question. But unfortunately, while the link was archived, the video in itself was not. Thus, the search came to a hard pause. I did leave a bit of a silver lining at the end, saying that due to the video getting a decent amount of viewership before it was taken down, there was a slight chance someone out there probably archived the original video, and was just blissfully unaware that it was gone from the internet. Or that the original artist could be tracked down and asked if they had it. And for the longest time, that was it. And by that, I mean, even to this day, that's basically where things have been. Well, okay, that's not entirely true. There were a few minor developments over the past few years that looked pretty promising, giving me a glimmer of hope that the dream was still possible, that it could all be found. But after a recent discovery / revelation, yeah, we're back at square one again, and we'll probably be there for the long foreseeable future. But I thought at least it would be cool if I could share what those new leads were and sort of bookend this little saga of mine that's been in limbo for the past few years. So, let's get on with it. A few months after the video was uploaded, that one mutual from the original video who essentially kicked off my interest to do the search to begin with, got back in touch with me and suggested a new potential lead. They pointed me to an account with the handle daisuke_033 on Twitter. According to them, they are a pretty big fan of For Whom the Frog Bell Tolls. So if anyone could potentially have a backup of the video, they were a most likely candidate. Which sounds all well and good, until I went to the account and found out that they only speak in Japanese. A language I cannot speak or read without auto-translate tools, so I had to sit back and wonder how I was going to approach this. With the help of DeepL Translate, I sent them a DM, both in English and in machine translated Japanese, just to be on the safe side. And after waiting almost a full 24 hours since, America and Japan are in different time zones, they actually responded and they were very polite. But in short, they didn't have the animation. But they still wanted to help out and decided to retweet my original video to signal boost the search, potentially getting the Japanese side of the fanbase invested in finding this video. While this was a neat gesture, it still meant that I was back at square one again. So, things would go quiet for the next few months. Around February of 2023, I would get a new comment on my video. This user replied saying that they had more screenshots of the animation that they wanted to share. Of course, me at the time wanting any sort of new information that could get me close to finding it, I obliged, and we linked up on Twitter where they began sharing some new screenshots. According to them, these screenshots came from their friend's Discord petbot, which I have no idea what that is, and honestly I don't even want to look into it. But, results are results. Again, this individual and their friends didn't have the animation on them, so it was back to waiting. That was until, again, a few months later, where they got back to me and discovered something very enticing. I don't even know how they found this, but they ended up finding 2 accounts on Tumblr at the time that looked like they were new accounts for Sarah C., aka Spy Who Loved You. We both assumed that this was them, not only because the art on the accounts looked very similar to the art on Spy Who Loved You, and also how it looked like in the Frog Bells animation, but also there was For Whom the Frog Bell Tolls art on both accounts from what I remember. And I say what I remember for a reason, and I'll get to that. All these details felt so coincidental, and I immediately decided after scouting the accounts to DM one of them. I basically gave them a rundown of who I was and if they were the original artist behind the animation. And after the DM was sent, I waited. And waited. And waited. Yeah, I never got a response. Over the next few years, I would occasionally look back at the account I sent the DM to, just to see if it was active, and usually it wasn't. The last post they had at the time was a piece of fan art of Malin, I think, from Zelda. that was posted a month or so prior to me sending them the DM. It left me thinking a lot of things. Was I too upfront with what I wanted? Was the account even active anymore? Or was it a case of mucho texto sort of thing? Or maybe it was just a simple answer that they just didn't want to be bothered. Maybe it was all of them, and I can definitely understand their hesitance to respond to a message out of the blue that comes with all this overwhelming information. I like lost media a lot, but this For Whom the Frog Bell Tolls video was my first time ever going out and actively searching for it. So I wasn't very experienced with contacting potential leads and formatting my questions in a very insightful way that probably wouldn't scare them off. Again, looking back on it, I thought my DM was fine, but who knows if they even read it or not. Which leads to the ending of all of this. It wouldn't be until a few months ago this year where I wanted to check on the DM, only to find it was gone. I went through my bookmarks and found the ones in relation to the blogs, and it turns out all of them were deleted, completely wiped out the platform, and also just no backups on the Wayback Machine either. Just gone. I don't know when this occurred or why, but honestly, it doesn't even matter. If it was because they finally saw my DM and they weren't too pleased or confused, leading them to delete their accounts, I completely understand. If this individual was actually Sarah C and they just want to be incredibly private online, then obviously I think they have the complete right to do so. So, where does that leave us now? Well, again, back at square one. And like I said in the beginning of this video, this mystery will probably be there for the foreseeable future. Unless someone with the animation in their possession just releases it, this piece of fan content will remain lost. And honestly, that doesn't bother me. It's been around 3 or so years since that video released, and my interests have changed significantly. I mean, just look at the type of videos I make on my channel. As the years would go by and I would create more videos, the thought of even finding that lost animation just became less and less important, or even desirable. I would still occasionally try to find it, but it would always lead to the same dead ends. In a, weird way, I'm overly satisfied that I'll probably never find this fan animatic ever again. Because to me, it represents a very old era of myself that I've evolved and I definitely have moved past. So, if the video does one day get found, that would be cool, but if it doesn't, then at least I'll have the memories.